cycle, what you're actually doing is you're playing through several generations here. And at every generation, you get the ability to go in and kind of modify it. So this is a bit later in the game. We've actually gone now from a 2D to a 3D environment. And now, rather than living in a little drop of water, we're living kind of under the ocean. Now, this entire world you see here is procedurally generated. And especially the guy, which I've created as a player. When I say procedural, I also kind of include player creating things, being very malleable in a procedural way. So for instance, the player creates his character, but the animations, behaviors, textures are all generated procedurally. Now this guy has a life cycle, very much like the little cell guy did. He also competes with other creatures in the environment. Another thing to realize here that's kind of different is that all the creatures in this environment are coming from other players. Look around here a little bit. Swim over those guys. Now, when I say coming from other players, what I mean is that they are asynchronously being sent to your computer to fill out your world. We're actually building a balanced ecosystem. Depending on what your world needs, we deliver other players' content to fill out that world around you. Now, like the cell game, this guy, when he reproduces, he lays an egg. Click on the egg, and now we go into the editor. Now, this is the editor for this guy. You can see he's kind of made out of parts. The editor here is roughly a mixture of kind of Mr. Potato Head, Erector Set, and clay. I can grab the parts and manipulate them. I can even kind of pull them off, and morph them. So I'll pull that off. I can grab the spine here, manipulate it. You see there's an underlying skeleton here, which gives me some clue as to kind of the internal structure of the guy. And like clay, I can roll the mouse wheel and actually sculpt him smoothly to give him his outer form. Now, these things are built out of functional parts that actually have meaning to the guy in terms of how he's going to behave and live in this world. These parts also are mutable. So let's pull off his tail here. The part categories come in functional divisions. So these are graspers. A lot of the parts also have some functional value besides their primary one. So that's a grasper as well as having a little bit of a weapon ability. But it's primarily grasper. This is a 3-jointed leg, make it a little bit smaller. These are feet. So basically I've taken my little swimmy guy. I can also scale the parts as I put them on. So I've taken my little swimmy guy and basically pulled his fins off, which is going to mean he's not going to swim too well now. I'll put, let's see, leg there. So this guy is going to be a tripod guy. So the player can build like really unusual characters in here. The system will analyze what they built and then kind of bring it to life all procedurally. So we'll bring this guy back into the game. And because he lost his fins, he doesn't really swim too well now. So I'm going to actually have him kind of leave the ocean here. Now, the walking you see here is all procedurally generated based upon an analysis of the skeleton that you created. And in fact, every verb in the game is as well. And once again, the world you're seeing here is procedurally generated, other creatures coming from other players. Like the other levels, this guy has to kind of survive. This guy's a carnivore, so I'm going to have him eat and have him come in and attack this guy. Now, the way he's fighting is based upon where I put his weapon, which is on his tail. So you can see, if I'm not close enough, it won't hit. So I basically have to chase. Luckily, I'm faster than this guy. Oh, there we go. Get off my head. Yeah. Okay, so we killed this little guy. Now we can actually start eating him. Now, one of the cool things about procedural verbs is that they can be cleanly mixed. For instance, I could tell this guy to take a bite out of this guy and then tell him to walk at the same time. And use that to actually invent a new verb, which is to drag. One of the real wins, though, is that whatever I've created in this game is going to behave differently. I mean, it's just going to be fundamentally different behavior than anything that you might create in the game, which is a huge win. And oh, okay, he's a bad guy. This is where you say, "Run away." Now, the game actually builds kind of a balanced ecosystem, so you're not always the top of the food chain here. On the other hand, this guy's kind of fast, and maybe has some amount of stealth, and maybe I can outrun these stupid little hoppy guys, and he'll go eat one of those guys instead. Let's see. I think I might be safe. Yeah. Okay. So one of the next things that you do, basically you live out lifespan of one of these creatures, and then you basically mate, which earns you access to the editor, and you earn currency at this level of the game. So I can do a mating call. And try to find somebody to mate with. Okay, we'll see how that goes. I'll kind of approach carefully. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. Okay, and then we get to the procedural mating. Okay, enough of that silliness. Then we lay an egg, and that gives us access to the editor, where we get to create the next generation of creature. Now, I want to give you a little bit of a sense for how open-ended this really is. I'm going to load a few creatures that we've created in the editor, just to give you a sense for how creative the player can be with this. This guy, I call him Buttface, but you'll notice he has a rather non-standard leg configuration. But still, he moves very smoothly, very realistic, very lifelike. One little kind of subtle trick we're playing with here is that people have never seen Buttface before, so they don't know how he's supposed to move, as opposed to humans. Here's another one. Now, all the ones I'm showing you here are actually running the exact same script. This guy has got kind of a large head. I call him Tweety Bird. It's kind of like an SUV, or this is the Ford Explorer, like whoa. I suspect he would have low fitness in the world. Let's see, this guy called Hangdog, he's very cool. He kind of walks cool too. But again, basically the same code running on all these things that analyze what the player's done and then kind of animates them, brings them to life. There's also a whole procedural texturing step that we don't have to get into this. Like, I can't show you right now, but the ones in the world you saw that were procedurally textured. This guy I call Dilemma. So the function of these guys is a combination of the parts that you choose for them and also kind of the topological structure that you set up. So this guy just happens to have a very fast walking gait, and it's a property of kind of the way the procedural animation deals with that skeleton. So a lot of the kind of performance of these guys is going to be emergent, from the system. And of course, I insisted to the team that we had to do a Care Bear. So here's our Care Bear. I'm going to make him a really mean carnivore, But,